Not long ago, corporate planning cycles stretched comfortably into the future. 3-year plans, 5-year roadmaps, and long-term growth targets were standard across corporate America. Executives presented detailed projections built on stable assumptions, and once approved, those plans rarely changed. Today, that model is quietly disappearing. Across industries, companies are shortening planning cycles, and the reasons behind this shift reveal how fundamentally the business environment has changed. Shorter planning cycles are not a sign of indecision. They are a rational response to a world where long-range certainty has become unreliable. Corporate America is not planning less, it is planning differently. The most important driver behind shorter planning cycles is volatility. Economic conditions now change faster than traditional planning frameworks can absorb. Interest rates shift rapidly. Input costs fluctuate. Consumer behavior evolves quickly. Regulatory rules change mid-cycle. When assumptions can break within months, planning 5 years ahead becomes less useful and more misleading. Long planning cycles depend on stable variables. When those variables become unstable, long plans create false confidence. Companies discovered that detailed multi-year plans often had to be rewritten before they were even implemented. Shorter cycles reduce the cost of being wrong. Another key reason planning horizons are shrinking is the rising cost of irreversible decisions. Expansion projects, large hires, acquisitions, and major capital investments are harder to undo. In uncertain environments, committing too far ahead increases risk. Shorter planning cycles allow companies to commit capital incrementally rather than all at once. Decisions become staged instead of final. This change is closely tied to capital discipline. Boards and investors now demand clearer accountability for how capital is deployed. Rather than approving long-term spending based on optimistic projections, leadership teams are expected to revisit assumptions frequently. Shorter cycles make it easier to pause, redirect, or cancel investments if conditions change. Technology has also played a major role. Real-time data, analytics, and AI tools give companies more immediate visibility into performance. When businesses can see changes quickly, waiting years to adjust plans makes little sense. Planning cycles compress because feedback loops have shortened. Strategy becomes iterative rather than fixed. This does not mean companies lack long-term vision. Most still have strategic direction and broad objectives. What has changed is the distance between vision and execution. Long-term goals remain, but execution plans are broken into shorter intervals that can adapt as reality evolves. Another factor driving shorter planning cycles is uneven growth. Demand no longer moves uniformly across markets or segments. Some products outperform while others stall. Some regions grow while others slow. A single long-term plan struggles to accommodate this fragmentation. Shorter cycles allow companies to shift resources toward areas of strength and away from areas under pressure without waiting for annual resets. Labor dynamics reinforce this shift. Hiring decisions are harder to reverse than ever. Wage levels are higher, skill mismatches persist, and layoffs carry reputational risk. Companies are cautious about committing to long-term workforce expansions. Shorter planning cycles allow more flexible staffing strategies, including phased hiring, redeployment, and productivity investments. Supply chain uncertainty also plays a role. Businesses learned that long-term sourcing plans can unravel quickly. Geopolitical risks, transportation disruptions, and supplier instability force companies to revisit assumptions more often. Shorter planning cycles allow supply chain strategies to evolve continuously, rather than locking in fragile dependencies. Investor expectations further encourage this approach. Markets punish companies that miss long-range targets. Shorter planning horizons reduce the risk of public overcommitment. Companies can set achievable near-term goals while preserving optionality. This aligns better with scenario-based thinking that dominates today's investor mindset. The shift toward shorter planning cycles also reflects a change in leadership psychology. Executives who experienced repeated disruptions are less comfortable betting heavily on distant outcomes. They prioritize control, flexibility, and responsiveness. Shorter cycles provide a sense of manageability. Leaders can act decisively while knowing they will revisit decisions soon. Importantly, this shift changes how success is measured. Instead of asking whether a company is on track to meet a 5-year plan, leaders ask whether the organization is responding effectively to current conditions. Execution quality matters more than forecast accuracy. Planning becomes a continuous process rather than a periodic event. This has reshaped budgeting as well. Annual budgets are giving way to rolling forecasts. Financial targets are updated quarterly or even monthly. Resources are reallocated more frequently. While this increases workload, it reduces the risk of operating with outdated assumptions. Shorter planning cycles also influence innovation. Rather than committing to large multi-year innovation programs, companies favor smaller experiments. Ideas are tested quickly, scaled selectively, or abandoned without major losses. Innovation becomes more disciplined and less speculative.